Continuing our reading in Ragweed and Poppy by Avi. This time is chapter 16, Cousin Basil. Ragweed looked around. Any number of deer mice were standing about watching him, but keeping their distance, not speaking. It was almost as if they were scared of him. Ragweed touched his earring. "I can't open that trap," he told himself. "Not alone. Not even with Poppy. But these mice don't seem to care much about her. Nothing else I can do. I should get out of here. Poppy will have to take care of herself. Come on, dude," he told himself. "Beat your feet." He headed for the doorway of Gray House, and had almost reached it when a young mouse stepped in front of him. He was a small fellow with spindly legs, short whiskers, and pink eyes. "Hello," said the mouse, holding out a paw in a friendly fashion. Ragweed, pleased to meet someone who was welcoming, shook the offered paw. "My name's Basil," said the young mouse. "Poppy's cousin, twice removed. She and I are good friends. I've been worried about her. The word going around is that you found out where she is." "Right, she's in a trap." "A trap?" cried Basil. "Where?" Somewhere out there, along that meadow by Dimwood Forest." "Is she all right? What kind of trap? A human one? How'd she get into it?" Ragweed told Basil about Poppy's predicament. "How'd you ever find her?" asked Basil. "Wandering," said Ragweed. "Thank you so much," said Basil. "But forgive me, do you mind telling me your name?" "No, sure, Ragweed, but hey, I don't get it. You mice don't seem to be friendly or want to help Poppy. You were talking to Lungwort, weren't you? And before that to Plum?" "Who?" "Tall, skinny old mouse?" "I guess." "I'm afraid we haven't been welcoming. Everybody's worried about the humans who have been hanging around Gray House. It's all we're thinking about and talking about. We're guessing it's about that sign some human stuck up by the side of the road. Every time the people show up, we have to hide in the closets. It's annoying and worrying. We don't know what's happening. Might be the most crowded home in the world, but it's our home, our only home." "I hear you," said Ragweed. "Let's go out on the back steps," suggested Basil. "No one will be there. We can talk. Can you take the time?" Ragweed, not comfortable with Gray House, wanted to get the talk over quickly so he could resume his travels. But if he could help that Poppy... "Okay," he said. He allowed Basil to lead the way out the back of Gray House, where there was a small porch and steps leading down. The two mice sat at the top step. "I suppose," said Basil, "I should begin by apologizing. See, we've been living here for a long time. You might have already noticed it's far too packed. We need another place, but the truth is we don't even look any elsewhere, or do anything, or do anywhere. We're not allowed to. All we do is stay here. That means we're not used to outsiders, and Lungwort is our leader, but I suppose having more than 100 children is a big responsibility." "Glad I'm not one of them," said Ragweed. "He is grumpy, thinks a lot of himself, and as I told you, those humans, anyway," continued Basil. "The point is, if we do go anywhere away from Gray House, we have to get Lungwort's permission, which is hard to get." "Why? Why do you need permission?" "Mostly," said Basil, "it's because of porcupines." "Porcupines?" cried Ragweed, remembering the bad-tempered creature he met in the forest. "What's wrong with porcupines?" "I'll tell you some other time. I need to hear about Poppy." Ragweed described the trap Poppy was in, and where it was. "Thing is," he concluded, "that food and drink I gave her, it won't last long." "That's bad," agreed Basil. He shook his head. "It's unusual for any of us to go beyond the creek. How come she went?" Ragweed, unsure if Poppy would want to share her story, once again decided not to tell how she went into the trap with her eyes closed. "All I know," he said, "it'll take, a bunch of you to open the trap. Only thing, those humans, the ones who put the trap out there, might come back." "What do you think they would do to her?" Ragweed shook his head. I can think of all kinds of stuff, and most of them not nice. Okay, said Basil. Tell me again where she is. Ragweed waved in the direction of the forest. Like I said, out there along that meadow. Can you be a little more specific? No, I don't think so, admitted Ragweed. If I round up enough mice, said Basil, and I think I could, would you be willing to lead us back to where she is? Not sure I want to. Why? Most of you mice don't seem to want me here. I'm sorry about that. Thing is, said Basil, it would be a whole lot faster if you would lead us there to where she is. Ragweed touched his earring, which made him remember Clutch and Blinker. He missed them. I've sort of got my own travels to do, he said. Where to? Not sure. Then there's no way we'll be able to find her on our own, pressed Basil. Not quickly, and you said it has to be. How many mice do you think it'll take to free her from that trap? Ragweed could hear himself saying, come on, dude. A mouse has to do what a mouse has to do. And then he said, it would take, 9, 10. I can round up that many, said Basil. Only thing, I have to be quiet about it. Can't let Lungwort know. We'll sneak out, and if you lead us there, we could rescue Poppy fast. Would you please? In his thoughts, Ragweed had to admit that they would never find Poppy on their own. The meadow was too big. Reluctantly, he said, fine. But know that soon as I show you where she is, I'm going to head off, done and drifting. Fair enough, said Basil. Give me a minute. Wait here. Basil hurried back into the house. Left alone, Ragweed sat on the steps, heaved a small groan, and then repeated to himself what he had told Basil. Okay. Soon as we reach Poppy, I'm done. On my way. Totally. I mean it too. This time, totally, total. And that's the end of chapter 16.